Show for a Tuesday. I'm out of breath. Hi, James. That's James.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm going to utilize a different brand of energy tonight, James. I'm going to slow things down a little bit. I'm trying to
Oh,
work on my pacing as a
trying to mellow
broadcaster.
it out. Yeah, right.
I don't know about mellowing it out, but I think I'm going to. You'll notice, and maybe it'll be irritating. We shall see. Pregnant pauses, James, are going to be your difficulty. Not you got to know when to lay back. You got to know when to recognize a pregnant pause. But we'll see how it goes. How are you? How was
You
your
know
week?
what? Your use of pregnant pause is something that you and I have heard 1,000 times, but people outside of broadcasting, hosting, radio, whatever, they're not really as familiar with the term as we are. And I would like to point out that as much criticism and heat and just negative energy as we've given Tom Likas, I learned a lot about the pregnant pause from listening to his show, and that guy would utilize it spectacularly. And it took me a long time to realize that he was doing that on purpose. Because at first I was like, is he talking to his producer? Just on IFB when and you can't just hear what they're saying. Like, did he just turn his mic off and he's talking to someone in the room? Did his wife just like hotline him or like call his cell phone? He has to answer a text real quick because we've done that before. But it took me because he was on 105.3 on the night show when we were there for a while. And it took me a while to realize this is a tool that he's utilizing. And I found myself doing it a few times, and I was really proud of myself that I was able to do like next level talk show hosting techniques.
It's dramatic, compelling. For me, it wasn't Tom Likas. It was Steve Dahl. Steve Dahl was famous for the pregnant pause to the extent that many of his producers would panic because of the dead air, and,
Well,
and that would be a thing. You'd be in your car, and you as a listener would be like, "Wait a second, did the radio go out? What?" And then he'd start talking again, and it's just it's a skill that terrific storytellers have in their arsenal.
well, and as much of a piece of human garbage as he was, that was something Russ Martin was really good at.
Sure.
And you would see Russ Martin reset the table like that. It's almost like when you shake your Etch-a-Sketch, if you use the pregnant pause correctly, you can immediately do. I don't know. It's a tool, and I don't want to go like too far behind the scenes here, but let you go from like a really happy topic to a really sad topic, or a really sad topic to a really happy topic, or lets you just totally wash out. If there was an argument between you and another guy that was in the room, you could like pregnant pause long enough that you could start the next story. The argument would be over. There was different ways that it was used that I noticed and I learned from, and so I enjoy the pregnant pause utilization that you're going to try here.
Well, I'm not saying that. First of all, I believe that I use the pregnant pause all the time. Case in point, right there. But that is not what I'm going to do. I'm just trying to slow it down. I'm going to be a better listener. I'm going to be a better partner. I'm going to tamp down the anxiety, which might cause me to prattle on. But since we are talking about radio, I wanted to segue into our first story, if you don't mind, because it does concern this crazy sport of radio. You're going all Batman. You just moved your camera.
Yeah, my camera stand is very flimsy, so if it gets a little off, I can just tap it and it kind of levels out. And if it's not level,
Can I do that too?
distracting. There we go.
So I'm wondering what James, one of our brothers, and I consider him a brother. Actually, we can go way back. When I was in probably 8th grade,
Are you
freshman.
going Don Geronimo on me?
Doing Don Geronimo, baby. I want to talk about Don Geronimo and how 8th grade, high school, freshman year, and then he left town. He was my morning guy of choice. Z95, man. Z94.7, Z95. Don Geronimo in the morning. Oh, my God, was he First of all, we already had shock jocks in Chicago, so we knew that whole thing. But he was sort of like this second wave of shock jock that, the old saying, pioneers get the arrows, and settlers get the land. In
Right.
the world of shock jocks, he was a settler. Stern was getting arrows, Dahl was getting arrows, Likas in LA at the time was getting arrows. The early first generation of late 70s, early 80s shock jocks were paying the dues. And then, when the dust settled, radio companies went, hey, man, maybe we could just do this with people we can control. And so a lesser quality of shock jock rose up. And Don Geronimo was one of those first to break into the Chicago market. I loved him. I'm a shock jock kid, man. I got into radio in the shock jock 90s. Don Geronimo would leave Chicago and team up with Mike O'Meara and become one of the more successful two-man duos in American radio of the 1990s and 2000s. And I don't know 10, 15 years ago. Anyway, Don Geronimo is now solo, and he's been solo for a while. He's in Washington, D.C. That was his market pretty much the whole run of Don and Mike. You have to understand, he's a god there. He's like a god of the Washington, D.C. radio market. You hear me talk about people like Steve Dahl and Jonathan Brandmeier and Kevin Matthews in Chicago, or people like Russ Martin and Mike Reiner and, Ron Chapman here in Dallas. Same thing. That's what he is in Washington, D.C. Now, he got himself in some hot water, James. What do you know about this?
I saw a headline, and I am wildly interested in these stories more so than the average man, because this is the kind of thing that could ruin my entire life. Right?
Yeah.
Don Geronimo is he at practice for the Commanders or something? He's
Commanders, the Washington Commanders, the embattled Washington Commanders, who now have a new owner and are trying to put their best foot forward in the face of multiple NFL investigations about sexism and harassment.
No. They changed their name. It's okay. It's fine.
No. This is after they changed their name. This is when they were the Washington. No. So the Washington Commanders are trying to be as proper as they possibly can, James.
So Don Geronimo and his buddy are hosting a show, and we've been in these situations where they just stick a table on the side of the indoor practice facility, and you got to go try and do your normal work day in 3 hours, but you don't have all your facilities around you. You don't have all your prep. You don't have your computer with your stuff on it. You have a bunch of stuff you printed out beforehand, and maybe a laptop if you're lucky that you could squeeze some content out of. So a lot of what you're doing is just
well hold on, James. Let me just stop you there, because I think you might need a little bit more information. What you seem to be describing is what you and I, as like the morning show who gets to visit the facility, might get. No, he was on the flagship. He was the morning show host for the flagship network of the Washington Commanders. He was in a built-in studio. I mean, they have their own built-in studios right there at the practice facility. So
but he is on location.
He is on location, but what I think you're describing as a fellow radio guy is the awkwardness and uncomfortable surroundings of a location or a remote, right? Okay. That's not for. He was very comfortable.
So is this his normal broadcast studio? Because I was under the impression this was a remote.
No, not normal. The WBIG studios are somewhere downtown, but this is a WBIG permanent studio out there at the facility that is used all the time by him.
Okay,
well, especially during the season. I guess he does the shows every Monday there during practices and all that stuff. So I didn't mean to stop you.
No, this is a level of depth I don't have, because the source I read led me to believe this was a remote broadcast. And so that would kind of contribute to the flippant nature of you having to observationally comment on what's going on around you. And so apparently he has a window to the field, because there's other media people that go in and out of these indoor practice facilities all day, every day. And you got to have some credentials, and they let you take pictures, but you got to be behind this flag all the way.
It's the opening of camp. Everybody's excited. It's more festive than it might be in a couple of weeks. They've got family and kids, and the public is involved, and it's like a carnival atmosphere. And, Washington Commanders, you're right. There's their ESPN's got a team there. NFL Network does. It's a big deal, and it's fun to just people watch, which is probably what he was doing from his air-conditioned studios there at Commanders Camp.
Well, he's got it sweet, man, because it really is kind of a miserable struggle being part of like a preseason coverage thing for a radio station, because I've done that with the Saints, where they have by the Alario Center is what it's called, is a big indoor practice field for the Saints. But, dude, it's still like 85, 90 degrees in there most of the time, and there's some buttheads that are constantly checking your credentials anytime you walk in and out of the building. And it's way more complicated than it should be. You don't just show up and take some pictures or take some video of the Saints practice and maybe talk to a couple players and get some mic time and get some sound bites. There's a whole parade and ruckus around it, just really at the beginning of the year. And so in this parade of other media people, Don Geronimo commented on a quite beautiful member of the media that was just doing her job, and he was making some Barbie references, and it got a little too base, and now this dude has lost his career. Now, I'm going to leave you with the details because you're obviously far more honed in on the story than I am. But you asked me for my take on it because I read one story on it about 6 hours ago, and that was my impression walking away.
First of all, you described an absolutely horrid training camp experience. Most NFL training camps are specifically done in prettier surroundings. For instance, the Washington Commanders, that we're talking about, in the mountains of Ashburn, Virginia. That's got to be gorgeous in the summertime. I mean, just imagine the mountains. I bet
Virginia.
I bet it's in the 70s in the morning. You know, I mean, I bet it's just gorgeous. It never gets above 88, and that's really hot. Anyway, so here's what happened. Yeah, he's a woman from another television network, a local Washington D.C., a sports babe. Sorry, guess I'm unemployable. A female. They used to be called sports babes. And by the way, you're gonna have to excuse me here, and I'm gonna try and talk in a way that explains what I think was happening with Don Geronimo, because I think Don Geronimo, well, he certainly isn't the canary in the coal mine, because this has been happening for years and years. He's just the latest example of an old dude who was wired in the 90s when the rules were different, who just slipped up. He just forgot it was 2023. He is such a pro. He is so relaxed at doing his show and just sitting there and shooting the shit with the boys that for a minute, he forgot it was 2023. And he objectified a woman in a way that was perfectly acceptable back in 1993, but is just simply not going to fly. Certainly not when you had in the connective tissue of what I referred to early as the Commander's ongoing issues with sexism and women's groups and, you know, all of these problems that the former regime, the Schneider regime brought on the Commanders. So what ended up happening, James, I've got it for you. If you'd like to hear exactly what it is that he said here.
I'm so happy to hear you say that, because I am dying to hear what he actually said, because all I read was that one goofy report that obviously left me with some wrong impressions. So what he said what I read in the article didn't really sound that bad. I wouldn't say it, but I was left with the impression, I can't believe you got fired for that.
Well, I think if we're gonna talk about it any further, we should probably hear what it is that he said, exactly what he said. This is, however, taken from a CNN report that turned out to be kind of a hit piece about, you know, the Me Too movement and, you know, all of this kind of stuff.
Well, then we need to hear what it sounds like in its worst context. This is the best one to hear it from.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know that this is its worst context. I think that context is important because there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of context, only the cherry-picked most provocative sentences, and they don't, you know, they're not in the form of an ongoing I'll play it for you. I'll show you what I mean. Here we go. All right, so this is from CNN. Ooh, let's get rid of that. Okay, we sharing it? Not yet. There we go. Okay, here we go. Let's watch it and listen for what he said.
Is out of a job after calling a sport.
Yeah.
A radio host is out of a job after calling a sports reporter Barbie. Here is WBIG's host Don Geronimo talking about.
Okay, first of all, can we talk about how snidely? Look at her when she says Don Geronimo. Don Geronimo. Watch this again. I mean, oh, come on. By the way, this is the chick. This is Allison Camerata. She's the girl that got caught holding hands with former CNN president Jeffrey Zucker. She's like in a relationship with him, and nobody knew about it till last weekend when she went to a party at Don Lemon's Hampton's house.
Wait, whoa. This last weekend? I didn't know about this.
Yeah, last weekend. Or maybe it was 2 weekends ago. But she went to a party at Don Lemon's Hampton's beach house, and she showed up with Jeff Zucker, and they were holding hands. And someone from the New York Post saw it. And
well, it must be love, because he's not in a position of power anymore.
No, he ain't. He ain't. But he's kind of persona non grata there around CNN. All right, again, watch the way she says Don Geronimo's name, man.
Barbie. Here is WBIG's host Don Geronimo talking about WUSA TV sports anchor Charlotte McBride.
Pause. She doesn't know who Don Geronimo is. She just hates the name and hates. She knows the story, so she already hates this guy because she knows he's about to say something sexist. And here's another one of those sexist, misogynist, chauvinist pigs. Yeah,
Don Geronimo.
she's never heard 1 second of his show before today.
Ugh.
Yeah. Oh,
Don Geronimo. It's just, oh my God. All right, here we go.
Hi, Barbie girl. Hi there. I'm guessing she's a cheerleader. There's that chick that you thought said tight.
Yeah, I streamed tight when she was
I
five.
think she's a sportscaster at Channel 9
Yeah,
or Channel 7.
yeah, she's familiar.
I thought she was a cheerleader.
Well, there you go. Let's end the man's career. Well, that's,
where's the rest of it?
that is the rest of it. That's all.
Okay.
Should we play it again? Let's end the man's career. Don Geronimo, quite possibly going into the Radio Hall of Fame. Probably a man in his mid to late 60s. Let's listen one more time to what got him in so much trouble.
Charlotte McBride.
Hi, Barbie girl. Hi there. I'm guessing she's a cheerleader. There's that chick that you thought said tight.
Yeah, I streamed tight when she was
I
five.
think she's a sportscaster at Channel 9
Yeah,
or Channel 7.
yeah, she's familiar.
I thought she was a cheerleader.
What's the offensive part? The tight or the cheerleader?
I don't know, man. Now I admitted this is why I said, I came up in the 90s. I am hard boiled in a shock jock conversation world. That seems perfectly fine to me. That seems, I guess calling her Barbie girl could be a bit patronizing, but you know what? Toughen up. It's also a very timely thing to call someone. I think that the reason he's in trouble for calling her a Barbie girl is because he's a 65-year-old white man. I think that if he was a 28-year-old black girl and called her Barbie girl, I don't think that would be a problem. I think if she was a side chick on another one.
You are absolutely right. Of course. No, you're absolutely right. And it's also, how many people have been dressing up like Barbie and posting themselves on social media for the last 2 weeks? I mean, it's definitely a thing. Like, she's a Barbie girl. It's not like he said it in the Barbie vacuum of 2008. That it's top of mind. It's been the top movie for the last couple of weeks. People have been dressing up as it. It doesn't really sound like an insult to be called a Barbie girl.
I would like to know if she was wearing pink. If she was wearing pink in 2023 during the Barbenheimer phenomena that we're all experiencing. A lot of girls are walking around wearing pink, and I don't think it would be considered sexist or patronizing to go, "Oh, hi, Barbie girl." They might like it. I wonder if she was wearing pink.
Okay, so the people who are offended by this would probably be horrified for us to say that. Well, does she have blonde hair and is she wearing pink, and does she in any way actually resemble a Barbie doll? Well, what does that matter? You just can't reduce a person down to their physical characteristics. No, but if someone looks like a Barbie doll, it's something that's generally considered to be a beautiful standard. It's not reductive to compare her to a Barbie. It's not like, well, her only worth on this human being on this planet is her looks or her body.
No. Yeah, exactly. They're projecting all of that onto. First of all, why would you say it? Why? Because as I said, Barbie is the hottest thing on the planet right now. It's a timely thing to say. It's not some aged pejorative that we've been hanging on women in the 90s. Look, if you did it to like a secretary in 1998 and went, "Yeah, easy, Barbie girl," it would probably be meant in a different way. In 2023, the summer of Barbie, you call a girl walking through a parking lot, "Hey, look at that Barbie girl." I don't know that that's necessarily as offensive as it would have been in another time. And again, I know for a fact that the only reason is because he's Don Geronimo, and she's a young woman.
So the demand for misogyny far outstrips the supply. So
I don't know about that. I don't know if I'll go with that. I think there's a whole lot of misogyny. It just ain't here. This is just not it. And here's what it is. It's a guy from the 90s who forgot he can't talk that way anymore. And I'm not saying that I agree with it. I'm just saying that this is how you get by in the big world of media nowadays. You can't talk that way. And he forgot.
Well, no.
Used to be fine. I mean, I don't know when it changed, but it used to be fine. That did not
Right.
sound like anything that should raise a red flag in 1995, 2005, or 2023.
People who are of the ideological or ethnic persuasion that they would become an easy political sacrifice are not allowed to say that. You are absolutely right, though. A 28-year-old black female talk show host who said the same thing, it wouldn't make news. They would still have their job. No one would bat an eye. So no, the blanket rule is you can't talk about women like that. No, you and I can't talk about women like that anymore. And then it's ugly, and that's what it is. And I'm willing to play by the rules because I don't depend on making Barbie comments to get by. But I mean
Well, here's where I
made
get
far
concerned.
worse comments in 2002.
Yeah, here's where I get concerned. This is one of those situations where I've listened to that over and over again. I've listened to what he supposedly said, and I don't know what it is that I would have said differently. I do not think calling a girl in the age of Barbie, look at this Barbie girl. I don't think that's necessarily what it's being interpreted as. Not entirely. I mean, it might be. I can't be inside his mind.
Well, she looks like a cheerleader. Is that reductive? Is that offensive?
I don't think. Why is that offensive?
See, I really have a hard time with that because some of the great broadcasters in, like when I was in New Orleans, I was on a show and the lady next to me was Tamika Lee. She used to be one of the Saint stations, the New Orleans Saints cheerleader. She was literally like a cheerleader before she got the morning traffic job at Channel 4, and then she came to our station at Channel 26. There's another one, Jennifer Hell. I think she used to be a cheerleader at like Stanford or something. So when you say comments like that in a football scenario, it's not like we're talking about it. I saw her at the tire center at Walmart. No, we're in a football situation where cheerleaders exist. Current and former cheerleaders or cheerleader coaches or cheerleader adjacent people. And there's quite an easy overlap with a lot of these people who end up in broadcasting jobs that did have some sort of touch on the cheerleader world. So, man, even if he was being abrasive, he kind of has an out in the fact that, that's not too far off the mark to even speculate about something like that. You think Aaron Andrews has never been a cheerleader?
Well, I know Kay Adams has. Kay Adams talks about being a cheerleader all the time. High school, maybe college too. I don't know, but she talks about it. James, this isn't just reserved for your experience there in Louisiana. The Grand Dame of Chicago news anchors, Cheryl Burton, was a 1985 Chicago Bear honey bear. That's where she came from. Cheryl Burton was an NFL cheerleader for the Chicago Bears. Now, people listening in Chicago know who Cheryl Burton is. You don't. But she's a black woman who is the lead 10 p.m. anchor for ABC's network affiliate there in Chicago, and she's been that for about 15 years now. She is a big-time deal. And she was a cheerleader. So you're absolutely right. This idea that he would be confused that a news girl, a girl doing sports in Washington, D.C., might be a cheerleader. He's not out of line for that. That's a real possibility.
Agreed. Look, this sort of thing lends me to think that maybe Don Geronimo has just been an exceptional a-hole in all other facets of his career, and they've just been looking for an excuse to make this dude walk the plank.
He absolutely has. Don Geronimo has a terrible reputation in radio as being exactly what you just described, a complete jag bag. When we talk about all these big time radio guys, these success stories, I always say 95% of them are jag bags. That's why it's jag so
bag.
Jag bag.
Is that a Yankee term that I'm not familiar with? Jag bag.
That's a Chicago thing now that I'm saying it.
I like
it. But yeah, so they're all jag bags. And jag, see, we like it because of the hard vowels. Jag bag. We get our accent really comes out on jag bag.
Full with sausage.
Yeah. So and he's also been in trouble. Don and Mike weren't choir boys. Don and Mike throughout the years have gotten in FCC trouble. So he's got a bit of a rap sheet, but that's also why he's an icon in Washington, D.C. So the firing of him, and that's what happened next. WBIG took the complaint that was issued by this news girl, took the complaint very seriously, and they immediately, iHeartMedia, put out a press release saying that they no longer are in the business with Don Geronimo. He isn't their morning man anymore at WBIG, and they certainly are apologetic to the Washington Commander. See, this is a big deal, gents, because you know how much an NFL team means to a radio station. So the radio station, the news girl went to the Commanders and said, "What the hell?" And the Commanders, who James in their front office probably have 5
sexual assault indictments right now. Yeah.
No, like specialists, like therapists and people who are there because the NFL has mandated that they have to have these people now in executive. So she comes in and they go, well, we must demand that he be fired. And so the Commanders call iHeart and they say, what are you going to do about this? Our contract's up. We're not going to resign. And they fire their iconic longtime morning man, Don Geronimo. And that's what happened. Why? Because he's an easy target. Because he's an old, slow lion who some people don't forget, James, as you pointed out. He's been an asshole in the past, and he's getting taken down for it.
Well, the real tell of the tape is if we circle back in about 6 months, maybe a year, does Don Geronimo immediately get picked up by another station, especially in the same market? There's no way to know. That would just be interesting to put a little thumbtack there and revisit it later.
Well, let me give you the facts just before we jump away from this. Don Geronimo, host of the Washington Commanders radio partner, WBIG, has been fired for making disparaging remarks about a TV anchor on air. While broadcasting at the team's training camp Thursday morning, Geronimo, whose real name is Michael Sorsay, saw WUSA TV anchor Charla McBride and called James, pull up a picture of Charla McBride. Well, let's take a look. Let's see if we can find her.
Is that SH?
It's SHARLA McBride. Charla McBride, WUSA TV anchor. He saw USA TV anchor Charla McBride and called her a Barbie girl as she arrived at the team facility. I mean, look, I can understand how that's a bit patronizing. It's a bit condescending. It's not respectful, but you can't mandate respect, okay? If people want to be jerks on the microphone, you got a picture of her?
Bro, she looks more like a Barbie somehow.
Oh my God. She looks just like a Barbie girl. You didn't take my advice. You didn't go to Bing Images, did you? If you'd gone to Bing Images, there'd be like 50 of these we could scroll through.
Hang on. What about that? Is that better?
Let me see.
That one?
Yeah, dude, she looks exactly like a Barbie, man. And if she was wearing anything pink, because she's probably fashionable and pink is a very trendy color right now because of the Barbie. If she was wearing anything pink and he called her a Barbie girl because of that, man, I'd say he ought to sue iHeart, but you can't win. You can't win. You got to just go away, man. You can't fight the man.
Wow, this guy's totally screwed, isn't he? Here, look at it. Doesn't look a whole lot more. How could she look more Barbie than that?
While broadcasting at the team's practice on Thursday, McBride, he called Charla McBride a Barbie girl. Aaron Highland of iHeart Media, DC, the regional president, I got the regional president involved. Ooh. He informed the Washington Post of the firing with a statement. After an internal review, Don Geronimo is no longer an employee of WBIG. That internal review was someone in the Washington Commanders media department tearing this guy a new one on the phone of his office. We take matters of this nature very seriously, and this behavior does not align with our core values. Those would be new core values for the Washington Commanders because, these are new times in Washington. After Geronimo made the comments on air, the Commanders barred him and his producer from the broadcast facility. Their interview with new Commanders owner Josh Harris, which was scheduled for Friday, never aired. McBride also sent a statement to the Washington Post. So this is what Charla says about this attack on her.
Attack!
Yeah, let's see what she says.
This is a compliment. It's just a misplaced abrasive compliment, but it's certainly not an attack.
It is. It was a jerk complimenting her. That's all.
It was a jerky compliment, yes, right. But it's not an attack. That's for damn sure.
McBride sent a statement to the Washington Post calling Geronimo's remarks sexist and misogynistic. Here's a quote now from her. When I heard the comments made about me on their radio show, I felt incredibly insulted and embarrassed. In my 17 years as a professional journalist, I have never been disrespected in such a blatant manner while trying to do my job. Their words were sexist and misogynistic. No woman should experience this in the workplace. And I appreciate the commander's swift response in handling this matter. She's going to be okay, James, if you're worried. I think she's going to be okay.
That's totally not believable that she's never been insulted in such a manner in her entire broadcast career, unless she started a week ago.
I know. It's like,
because I could post on social media anything and someone would call me a Nazi at WRNO. Anything, someone would call me a Nazi. I'm literally Hitler, right? And no, that's not even believable. She just destroyed a man for her own clout. And
exactly. It's what it is. Her own clout. And just the, like I say, a lot of these TV people, like a lot of these people who get into the broadcast journalism programs at their schools, many times they come from drama backgrounds. And I'm thinking maybe this girl did a number of plays in high school because she's very dramatic in her pain here.
Oh, dude, if I've ever wanted my audience to understand anything, the people that do the news, these are not serious people. These are not political scientists. These are not historians. No. These are not professors. These are not engineers or analytical thinkers. These are the theater kids from high school. They just put them in a suit and in better makeup. And no, you can't wear black lipstick and dye your. I don't care if you hate your dad. You're gonna have to look professional. But I mean, I'm back in TV now, and everywhere I go, it's all the theater kids. The guys,
theater kids.
Yeah,
it's theater kids who can't act. It's theater kids who didn't want a life on the dinner playhouse circuit.
Well, look, there's only so many jobs for theater kids in the real world, and in every town that's of a decent size, there's jobs for theater kids at a TV station.
I mentioned his name earlier, and this is exactly who Don Lemon is. Don Lemon was a drama guy. Don Lemon wanted to be an actor, and then he just decided that was going to be too difficult, so he segued into being an actor on TV, pretending to do the news, and it became who he was. I mean, it's very common. Beauty queens, a lot of your news people are former beauty queens. They just came through the pageant system. That's why they're there. They didn't go to MIT. Now, the guests did. Like a lot of times when they have like specialists and analysts on, those people, their credentials are pretty impressive. But no, not the person asking the question. Now, I mean, Caitlin Collins was the head of her sorority at Alabama. I mean, I don't know what else she's accomplished, but there you go. Anderson Cooper was a Vanderbilt. We know, I mean, anyway, James, you got anything else we can get into tonight? I got more. I got a question for you, but if you got something, let's jump.
I have something that's not time sensitive. So can we run through all your timely stuff? And if we don't have time for mine, we can do it tomorrow just as well. But I forgot. I've never told you a crazy radio story.
Okay, so I want to show you this because this has been something that has been bothering me. Okay, I'm mad here. I'm gonna watch another video. All right.
Are you going to share it? You want me to share it?
No. I got it. I'm going to share it. So get rid of your thing. So one of the ways that I watch TV, being a fan of it, I don't live in a market where, I'm like, it's training camp. So I'm trying to keep up on Bears stuff and all that stuff. And I watch a lot of YouTube. And what you do is you go to the search bar, you put in Chicago Bears, you go to the tools, you put.
Is this a good time for me to get a refill, or do I need to hear this?
No, I want you to go get your refill. I can fill time. I've been saving it up tonight. So I watch a lot of YouTube clips, and I watch, every day. The trick is to go to the tools and make sure that you're only getting the stuff that was uploaded today. So every day you get the most recent stuff, and it's all kinds of stuff from podcasts to ESPN morning show clips to, NFL network clips to whatever. And so I just watch it all. And sometimes while I cook dinner or whatever, I'll have it on and I'm watching it. What I have noticed is, I got to show you this. Sometimes, without even recognizing that I do this, I will see a headline on YouTube that says something like, Stephen A. Smith says Chicago Bears will win their division, right? That'll be the screaming headline. And I go, okay, I want to hear what Stephen A. Smith says. So I'll click on it and I'll watch it. And then I'll realize that it's a bootleg It's not a real boy. Where did he have to go? Did he have to go cross town? Because I'm trying to fill time. I'll realize that it's a bootleg video. It's not actually from ESPN, or it's not actually from the NFL Network or anything like that, or even any sort of legitimate aggregator accounts, right? Nothing like that. It's always like something weird. Like oftentimes it's a Chinese name. Like, so I'm watching these things, and here, let me show it to you. I'll get rid of that. This keeps happening. Wait, how do we get rid of? We need to get rid of her. James, come back, James. Okay. All right, so I keep watching. Seriously, when is James coming back? Can we stop sharing this? All right, hold on. Give me a second. What's he doing? Tucking the kids in? Ugh. All right. So sometimes, like I said, sometimes I don't. I accidentally or even intentionally, but I don't notice. This isn't something that I notice. I will click on a bootleg video that's up there on YouTube. And oftentimes it's like by a Chinese guy. Like the name is like, Hi Young, and I don't know what the hell is going on with that. I don't care. All I know is that it's given me the video that I want to see. I want to see a discussion from one of the sports networks from earlier in the day about the teams that I follow, right? That's what I'm doing. So I don't care. So I click on it and I watch it. Now, seriously, James, I'm going to call him. I'm going to see where the hell he is. Did he leave his microphone on? All right, so let me show you what I watch. This is the kind of stuff that I watch, and I'm going to show you the problem that I have, okay? So here we go. This is just like something, the headline is Justin Fields and Chicago Bears biggest leap, okay? So again, it doesn't matter what the content is. I want to show you what happens on these bootleg videos that I watch.
These comments, please. First of all, we need to understand something. There's nobody in the NFL that needs, don't even apply for an endorsement deal with hair companies. There's nobody that can compete with Trevor Lawrence, okay? He'll put most ladies to shame.
So you get the point. It's like a legit copy from that morning's ESPN slate of shows, just watching different topics, listening to different commentary as it pertains to the teams that I root for. So I'm watching. And again, remember, James, are you back? Jesus, man, I've been filling time. I've been stretching. God damn, dude.
Oh, I had to pet the kitty cat. Sorry.
Okay. No, you didn't.
Well,
all right. So what I'm explaining is every day I watch a whole bunch of timely sports coverage of the teams that I follow. And, I do that by just using the tool that says videos uploaded today. So if it's like the Chicago Bears training camp, I'll just watch all kinds of stuff from ESPN, from NFL Network. And what I've noticed is from time to time, and we're watching an example of this now, what I've noticed is a lot of times I'm not clicking on the real ESPN YouTube account. I'm clicking on like something that's bootleg. And most of the time, like in this case, it's some Chinese dude. It's like some Chinese bootleg account that is showing, ESPN. Like this one comes from, can you see it down there? Can you see the name? Let me try and read the name. It's Hong Chi Ka, right? And I don't know what Hong Chi Ka is or why he's uploading these videos, but he gets me.
I think that is Vietnamese for Polish sausage.
Okay, there you go. Now let me show you what happens, James. I'm trying to give an example of how it's everything's fine. There's no different. I can't tell that it's.
I feel like you're faking it right now. No, bro. How many UFC events? How many football games have we watched from the Russians?
Oh, a lot. Oh, a lot. Yeah. But this is a different thing than that. This is this is just stuff that I watch on YouTube every day. And I noticed this odd thing happens, and I need you to explain what's happening because I don't know if I'm a part of some global plot. I don't know if I'm getting some hidden terrorist message. Remember, this is a bootleg of an ESPN conversation from just a couple of hours ago, from earlier today. uploaded by some Chinese guy, and I'm sitting here watching it, and here, this is how it's normal.
His hair. I mean, my goodness, nobody can compete with it for the hair commercials other than Troy Polamalu, who's
Totally
retired.
normal.
Nobody, okay? So he's got the hair commercials
Okay,
on lock, all right?
forward a little.
But his game is elevating, and
free agency splash that we saw last year in Jacksonville, we finally saw that in Chicago. Point number one. And point number two, I'll say this.
All right, so you follow. So I'm 4 minutes into watching this, James, and it's totally normal, and I'm waiting for the payoff, and then all of a sudden, this happens every time. Watch. Hold on, gotta do an ad.
When the sawdust settles and the engine finally roars, the thing you care about most is the job.
There we go.
This year you do. With an experienced play caller that's called plays in the NFL, that just called plays in college, so to mesh and mix those two, and now you put him on the same staff with Bill Belichick.
Một món đồ rất là mắc vô mấy cái tiệm mà hàng chính hiệu không á, giống như Gucci vậy đó, nhưng mà anh phải mua Gucci, mà hàng một món như vậy, một cái áo không á.
James, what the hell's going on? I'm in the middle of watching a video. Let me show that to you again. I'm waiting. I'm listening to the point he's making.
Rookie season.
Yeah.
Last year, you gave him no shot to have success in this league. This year, you do. With an experienced play caller that's called plays in the NFL, that just called plays in college, so to mesh and mix those two, and now you put him on the same staff with Bill Belichick.
Một món đồ rất là mắc vô mấy cái tiệm mà hàng chính hiệu không á, giống như Gucci vậy đó, nhưng mà anh phải mua Gucci.
All right, James. So this is my issue. What am I watching? What am I participating in? Was that some secret message activating sleeper cells of Chinese terrorists across the country? I don't know. First of all, he's speaking in Chinese. So
because I was under the impression that Dat Nguyen had lost a lot of weight. Was that Vietnamese? That might have been like Cambodian or something. You don't know. You know your freaking Chinese language. It ain't.
Hàng một món như vậy, một cái áo không á là hết 500.000. Mà cái quần thêm 500.000 nữa là đi mất hết 400 triệu.
On here is he telling me to blow up some federal building? I have no idea. In this, and James, this happens every single day. On every single one of these, there's some weird thing that drops into the middle, and I have no idea what's happening. Some foreign language. They can't be activating me because I don't speak that language. I'm just pissed that I didn't get to hear Swagoo finish his thought on Bill Belichick.
Wait, which one was Swagoo?
The big dude.
Oh, I thought that was Marcus Spears or something. Isn't he on some of these shows?
Swagoo. Yeah, that's Swagoo. That's his nickname.
Oh, okay. Oh, dude, I didn't know. I'm behind. I don't really keep up with that stuff. Well, the first thing you have to establish is the nationality, because that will be a lot of your answers. And that guy Hun Chi Ka.
And what is that? What is that?
I don't know, but if I have to guess, I'm leaning Vietnamese because I'm looking at his channel over here, and this dude is maybe just a fan of American football. Is that
no, not possible. Nah, he's working in some farm somewhere, some internet farm,
some rice paddy.
I don't know.
Oh, you mean a tech farm? I'm sorry,
tech farm. Yeah, no, he's uploading videos that American Brown Guy will upload, and I don't know what's going on. I'm just confused.
He has a very suspicious 99.9 thousand subscribers. He has 1,000 videos. Are you seeing this? I thought I shared this. Are you?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
You see this? So he has 1,000 videos. If you look at from the latest videos, this is all football stuff, and he is cranking it out 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, 3 hours ago, 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, 5 hours.
Dude, he's working. He's getting paid to do this. This is some play. This is some like espionage thing. I don't know what's going on, but
you're absolutely right. One solo dude. Vietnamese or not, because look, his name is Hun Chi Ka, and then in his handle here, VCF. We all know what VC is. My dad was shooting at him about 50 years ago. But this is more content than one dude can put out by himself. So he is part of a larger organization. Look, this is 9 hours ago, 10 hours ago, 12. We're only to 12 hours ago, and we're already.
Okay. All right, so we've established that something is going on here with the amount of content that he's cranking out. Now, let's talk about what's the reason here. So who is he getting? Like, he gets me every day with his updates of Chicago Bears training camp. So why is he baiting it with that hook, or what? You know what I mean? Why is he using that bait for me? What is What is he getting from me? I don't speak his language, so when he drops in and starts going, oh, dang, dang, I don't know what he's saying. I just X out at that point and go on to the next video.
Yeah, the question is 43 videos in the last hour. Why would anyone make this level of effort? And we have no way of knowing because we don't know what he's saying when he interrupts. Because, if he all of a sudden interrupts and he's like, capitalism is just not a superior way to arrange your economic system. I sure do support the Chinese model of communism. Well, then you know what it's about. But if we don't know what he's saying, then it's all 100% speculation. Seems to be he's really into cartoons and stuff. But do you see this one cartoon guy over here? Do you see my cursor?
Yeah.
This is the one that worries me over here. This one looks fun. This one looks fun. This looks like a pretty girl. This is like a cute child of some sort. And these are all like beautiful images and a nice little sunset. And like and subscribe in sort of the Harry Potter font. But then this dude has a gun with a scope on it. It's like, what the hell? What the hell just happened?
Hold on. Now you got me looking around at his page.
I'm pointing it out. You see the dude with the scope over here, right? Do you see my cursor?
I see like the school. There's like a school shooter. It
This
says
guy bothers me. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, he's just got a beanie and a 50 cal sniper rifle or something.
He's a school shooter. That's what I'm looking at. I mean, you got a school shooter. You got some anime sex pots. You got
All right. So, question for any of our listeners: do y'all even know what language that is? Because maybe we could like put it through some sort of translator or whatever. But is this some Vietnamese dude who's like, hey, you like football? It's even better shooting up your school. Right? That'd be interesting to know if that's what he's saying.
Hold on. Let's put this up. Maybe someone will be able to tell us.
I swear to God, I learned more Spanish just because I was pissed about not knowing what people around me were saying than any classroom or noble ambition that I've had to learn a second language.
Hold on. We'll just put...
Do you have more from this dude?
Nope. I don't know. Here, maybe someone will help us with this.
Hun chi ka.
There.
Hun chi ka.
There you go. What kind of Asian? That's the question. Folks, what kind of Asian is Hyung Chi Ka? Anyone that can answer that wins a whole lot of gratitude. All right, I'm done with that. I'm done with that story. I didn't know what that is. I don't know what that dude's about. I find him fascinating. I don't know why he's doing it. James, if you've got something, we can do that, or we can get into the Cardi B video. I don't know if you saw her attack somebody on stage. We could watch that as well. What do you got?
Yeah. So I'm familiar with the Cardi B story, and I don't think we should talk about that yet because there's more to come tomorrow on it. The situation where she threw the water bottle at the dude, and so
no, she threw a microphone in a chick's face.
Right, because they threw a water bottle at her. You're right. I said it back.
No, they threw a drink at her. She was asking them to get water. She was like, hit me with your water, and somebody threw a drink, and she got mad and threw the mic, and of course she missed the person who threw the drink and hit some innocent chick.
And now she's being charged with assault, and someone made a complaint to the cops, and charges hadn't been filed yet. And more to come tomorrow.
I mean, have you seen the video? Yeah, I mean,
I have.
She whips that microphone at it's got terrible. Anyway, go ahead. Tell me what you got.
Well, I think that's a very interesting case because if you park in the parking lot at a golf course and your back window gets hit with a golf ball, and like the person doesn't come own up to it, you can't sue the golf course for it because it's just sort of, hey, bro,
Yeah. So what are you saying? That Cardi B or just concerts in general that you have no right to expect to not get hit by a intentionally thrown microphone?
Yeah, see that's the interesting part because there has been precedents where someone was injured because someone else was crowd surfing, and it's like part of, hey, asshole, if you're going to be in a mosh pit and someone puts a boot in your face, that's kind of up to you. It's pretty easily avoidable. But this is interesting because we have the principal person in the entire event throwing the microphone
Intentionally. She looks at her and whips it, and look, it'll be a check.
And so I'm not going to say I have even a strong opinion on whether or not Cardi B was in the right or wrong. I'm just interested to see what.
She was wrong. I have a strong. She was wrong. She lost her shit.
Well, yeah, but you lose your shit and you're at a Cardi B concert, and if Cardi B threw her mic at me and it hit me in the head, I'd be like, "That's great, Cardi B just hit me in the head with the microphone." Y'all see that?
All right, that's you.
That I would love to see that. That would be like an honor. You know,
we don't know anything about this girl. It was thrown with some philosophy at a close distance. I know how heavy those microphones are. That break a couple of teeth, could break a nose easily. We don't know what happened with this girl.
my analog though is, you know, no one is saying Cardi B is the picture perfect textbook of mental health. This is like going to a baseball game and you get hit with the foul ball. That's up to you, bro.
Okay, all right. I see what you're saying. All right, what do you got? What, you had something you were going to share?
Well, good, because we don't have a whole lot of time yet. This isn't a very long story, but I don't think I ever told you, Pugs, my radio dad, about the 99.3 situation that happened. This was 12 years ago in 2011. Did 993 and Tyler ring a bell? I don't even think you know anything about this.
I do not. Dazzle me. 99.3, The Rock of Tyler.
Yeah, right. So I don't even think I have any. Yeah. I used to have a notepad that said 993 on it at my desk. So the year is 2011. I'm on the morning show at WRNO. It's me, Michael, and Tasha. It's, you know, three of us, just like they do at the Freak, where they just, anyway. And so things are kind of falling apart. Michael and Tasha aren't getting along too well. Tasha's missing a lot of work because she's going to a fertility doctor. Michael just flew up to New York City because he has an interview with Wall Street Journal Radio, and they're thinking about syndicating him. And so I have my entire life been keeping a side eye on my favorite markets, Dallas and Tyler. Always. I always know who the program director is at all the talk stations in both of those markets, and to a lesser extent, Houston, because this is the closest thing I can do to be home. And so in the middle of this turmoil, one of my emails gets replied to from the program director at the number 2 talk station in Tyler. There was at the time only 2 talk stations in Tyler. One of them is the great KTBB, which is the Heritage, if you can call it that, talk station for Tyler. And the other one was this little upstart. These guys who had started a radio group in Bryan/college station and then bought up a few other radio stations in other medium and small markets.
Oh, I want to be friends with those guys.
Yeah, you did. They bought 2 stations in Tyler, and one of them is the hip hop station that is number 1 every book for the last 15 years, right? And so in 2011 they were number 1. And the guy who owned the stations noticed in Bryan College Station that his talk station made a lot of money, and so he was flipping other stations to talk, and so that's how Tyler got its second talk station. And they already had a morning show, but they wanted someone younger. So they asked me about it. I was like, oh my God, finally, I can move back to my hometown. I know it's Buck Tussle and it's not glorious to anyone else. And there's no other way I would work in market 144 other than this one.
Right.
But damn, that's kind of an amazing coincidence. My morning show's falling apart. And
with a successful long-running morning show in a place like Tyler, I imagine that there would be peripheral opportunities for you to make a very nice life for yourself. Whether it's, you know, you're the morning guy for 20 years in Tyler and own a couple of pizza restaurants or whatever it is, but it's a very nice life. So don't ever begrudge yourself that hometown dream.
Oh, right. But, you know, this isn't the glory we all dreamed about, but there's something special about the hometown thing. So I really wanted to believe that this radio station was going to be awesome and take off and make all my dreams come true. And so they offered me the morning show, and it was a decent salary. And so I moved all my crap. I threw it all in the back of a U-Haul. I moved it here, and I put it in a storage unit. My wife and kids were staying with the mother-in-law in New Orleans until I could get settled here. Right. So I was separated from my family when I start this job. Right. And when I say wife and kids, I had wife and 1 kid at the time, but she went and stayed with her mom until I could get us a house, hopefully here, and get established. So I show up, and, you know, when I made 2 visits, and what I was shown on my interviews was quickly shown to be a mirage when I started working there. This place did not have it together. This place did not have revenue. This place had way too many salaries. This place had management that was out of its mind.
What do you mean when you say out of its mind? Now that could mean a whole bunch of things. It could mean a whole bunch of cokeheads. Could mean a bunch of people who don't know what business they're in.
Right.
What do you mean?
So the general manager of the cluster was a converted salesperson who's just a huge fan of talk radio. And do you know the women that like sports, how they're a special breed?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're almost too masculine, and it's like, are you?
Here's what they are.
You're not
They have an unreasonable affinity for their daddies, and hanging out with their dad while he would watch baseball. So they become these like sort of obnoxious sports tomboys. But yeah, I know the type you're talking about, and a lot of times they're hot too, and it's a weird sort of combination of things. Those are the girls who do belching contests. Remember those girls, the hot girls you could hang out with who could like belch the ABCs.
You are so nailing every second of this. Yeah, that is her. Her name's Jenny, and I'll call her ass out, spelled with a G. Y'all go look her up.
She loves her dad.
Yeah, so I go and I have some sit downs with Jenny, and I'm like, hey, I'm here. I'm ready to start the morning show and be your program director and just kind of take the wheels. And I got a lot of great ideas we can plug in here. Let's make some money and make all our dreams come true. And then I started doing some math. I now have access. I can log into the computers and I can look at how much of their inventory is sold.
No.
I can look at what their billing is. I can look at their profit. No. Well, I mean, look, I was going to be the program director for this station. I have access to a lot of stuff here. I need to know. So I started counting up, and then I started counting up all the employees, and then I started counting up their salaries, and I started doing some math, and I'm like, the EBITDA on this is underwater. Like we are not even in the black before interest, taxes, depreciation, all that crap, amortization. We were operating in the red. And so I went and had a sit down after I'd been there for about 4 days is when I started doing all the math and putting all this crap together. I had to get trained on how everything works and then figuring it out. And I sat down with her and I was like, and I kind of had a serious conversation with her. I'm like, you need to tell me now. I've been here for a week. And
should I buy this house?
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm asking. And she gave me this this sort of pep talk. I mean, that would be believable. I don't know. I'm just, luckily I'm an inherently cynical guy and I don't believe people. But she gave me this whole pep talk. But the only statistic that I walked out of that office hearing is that she had to request from the owner of the multiple clusters, the Reynolds Radio Group owner, a check for $13,000 last month so she could cover payroll. Ooh, so I'm nervous, right? I am nervous as hell. And I walk out of there like not knowing, like, oh my God, do I just...
Here's the good news. Let me stop you right here. Here's the good news. If you are, in fact, a program director, that means you're going to get access to the checks first, which means you can get to the bank and cash your check first before you hand out everyone else their checks. That's a big concern when you're working for one of these companies that's teetering. Checks look good, but will they cash? Well, what if I wait till Monday? Will everybody else have already cashed theirs and now I don't get mine? So program director, you get yours cash first, if that's of any consolation to you.
So if I want you to appreciate the whirlwind my brain is in right now. I had just had a career for the last 5 years in New Orleans. And one of the reasons I left New Orleans, look, there was a lot of emotion involved. And I can see in hindsight that emotion is what made me make these bad decisions to begin with. When I first got hired on at WRNO, it was under the premise of, yeah, I'm going to be the third guy on the morning show, and I'm not going to have my own show. I have to share it with Tasha and Michael, but I will get my own show on the weekends. That'll just be the James show, and I'll get to host my own show, and that's what I really wanted. That's the reason I left Sirius. That's the reason I went to the TV station. That's the reason I'm leaving the TV station. And so I was promised that when I got hired on at 2009. And then when the things were falling apart in 2011, and I told, you remember Ken Charles, that whole conversation? I was telling Fisher and Charles, hey, I've got this other job offer. Are you sure you don't want to give me the morning show when Michael and Tasha leave? Because I'll stay for that. Because I don't even have a weekend show now. And the regional guy looks at my current program director and is like, you still haven't given him a weekend show? It was, and so that was part of the reason I left. I was a little butthurt. I'm not going to get my own show during the week, and I'm not even allowed to have a weekend show. Fine, I'll go to Tyler where they're promising me the morning show. So I get to Tyler and I'm like, I don't care what they're promising me. This station's about to go under in the course of a year. And so this is the tornado that's going on in my head. After 4 days here, do I tell them, F you, I'm going to go back to New Orleans where I can still be hired on for the John Osterlin show because he just lost his co-host and he begged me not to leave. And so that's what I'm thinking about. And I get a call from Wifey. And Wifey says, I've got some news. Are you sitting down? I said, okay, what? Just fucking what? After all this, like I don't need any news. She said, James, I'm pregnant. I was like, oh, fuck.
Yikes.
All right. So this is kiddo number 2. I'm about to move my wife and infant baby, my pregnant wife and infant baby up here for a job that I think is not going to be here in 12 months. And so, I just have to go for a walk. Like I just walk out the station. And when I come back, Jenny's like, is there something wrong? It's like, oh, no, I'm sorry if I'm out of my mind. I haven't answered some emails. I know you're waiting on something from me, like some TPS report or whatever. But I got a call from my wife and she's pregnant. She's like, oh, congratulations. Right. And the GM, the OM, the operations manager is there too, Dave. And he's a super cool dude. He's like an older Texas guy that was on the air when I was a kid. Right. So he's like a legend, but he's now just an operations manager for the cluster. And he's like, congratulations. And I'm like, yeah, I just need to go sit and, I don't know, go throw up or something. So I go into my office out in the back, and I'm sitting there. And the Dave guy comes in. And I don't really know Dave that well. I mean, I think I know Dave because Dave was on the air when I was in elementary, middle school, high school. I just hadn't heard from him in the 10-something years that I left Bug Tussle, right? And I'm just coming back, and now he's the operations manager. So I think that's cool, but I don't really know him. And Dave comes in and shuts the door behind him, and he says, listen, I heard your wife's pregnant. This isn't really the right thing for me to do professionally, but personally, you need to get on the phone and you need to call New Orleans. And if they'll take you back, you need to take it. And I said, Dave, what?
You appreciate it, but also you don't want to hear that because that confirms your worst fears.
I said, Dave, you're not just telling me this because like you want the morning show and you can't have it until I'm out of here, or you think I'm the wrong guy for the job, or nothing like that. You just look at it. You can just look at a dude, and Dave at this point, he's like in his 60s, right? So he doesn't play, and so he gives you that look like, do I look like?
I'm just trying to help you out, kid.
Right.
That's take it if you will, but.
Yeah, because at 34, like I'm old enough to know that I don't know anything, right? And so I said, Dave, I'm gonna trust you on this. But if you're right, you are my hero. You're a legend, and you will forever be remembered in the Parker family as someone who saved my career. Now, if you get out the office here, I got to make a phone call. So I called New Orleans, and the only reason Ken Charles took me back is because he thought it was hilarious. I was freaking out because my wife was pregnant, and he was laughing at me. He's like, sure, you can come back. Like 99 times out of 100, I wouldn't accept someone back. But this is hilarious how you're freaking out about your wife being pregnant, and this station's the basket case. And we told you were making the wrong decision when you left New Orleans. I just never heard anyone call and admit they were wrong. Sure, you can come back. It was just because I cracked him up with the freaky story that I told. 9 months later, the station flips to Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
So, in retrospect, 12 years ago, Jennifer's right. Dave is a goddamn hero. Just goddamn, just the one decent person I have met in my radio career that at the expense of his own job and his own, well-being, he helped the brother out for no reason that he'd only known for 4 days.
I've known a few. They're few and far between, but yeah, sounds like Dave's one of the good ones. One of the good eggs. That reminds me of my favorite thing Kelly ever said when we were told by the Bone that they were flipping to Spanish music. And Kelly looked at Kat and said, well, that's a problem because I don't speak Spanish.
Perfect.
It's just like, that's like my favorite thing. Oh, yeah, I guess we're out of work. I thought you were going to tag that with, and today Dave died alone in a trailer on the outskirts of Tyler.
No, Dave Moreland is now, probably in his early 70s, and he's operations manager of the #1 hip-hop station in Tyler and the #1 Tejano station in Tyler.
So Dave's doing okay. Dave's doing all right. Good for
Dude,
Dave.
99.3 is great, man.
Good for Dave. Good for Dave. Dave sounds like a good man. James, anything in closing?
Nothing. Just get out of here.
All right, there he goes. All right, folks, join me tomorrow at noon for the High Noon stream every Monday through Friday. Noon time, headlines, hot topics, current events, whatever it is that people are talking about, I'll bring it to you in a very quick, neat-to-eat rundown. What else? Shows run on your tips. It's that time of the month. You want a tip? Now would be a great time. We sure could use the help, and by we, I mean me. And by help, I mean money. So thank you for those of you who have tipped. What else? He's in the Bahamas. Maybe at some point this week we'll get to check in with him. He was texting with me earlier. He was giving me some instructions on something that he needs me to do. And then he stopped texting. So, I don't know where that stands, but we'll see how it goes. All right, we'll see you tomorrow at noon. I'm Pugs Moran. He's James Parker. We are the Radio Misfits every Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. on the Radio Misfits podcast and live streaming platform, radiomisfits.com. Bye, everybody.
I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.